Yo, 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 yo. Yo, yo. What's good with it? It's the homie MACK. Music, art, culture, knowledge. Each one teach one, peace and love. Reporting live from the Dogon. Yeah, this is another session of MACK Minutes. This MACK Minutes will be entitled Concerning the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and Malcolm X. What sparked this whole MACK Minutes is I've actually been watching Godfather of Harlem. The primary character is Bumpy Johnson, but it talks about Bumpy Johnson's interactions with Malcolm, Detroit Red later on become Malcolm X, but then Detroit Red, and how they interacted. Again, pre his interaction with the Nation of Islam, and his interaction when he came into the Nation and became Malcolm X. And through the confluence of Bumpy Johnson and Malcolm X on the story, they go into detail about Malcolm X being, man, there's a cat outside making all that noise, but anyway, they talk about how, essentially, when Malcolm X was silenced for 90 days by Elijah Muhammad, and how, there was a rift, there was tension. And I just want to talk about, the context of that, the interactions between the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and Malcolm X, and just how I felt about it in general. First of all, there would be no Malcolm X if it were not for the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Let's get that out the way. Malcolm X was a criminal. He was redeemed. His potential became made manifest when he joined the NOI. So let's start off with that first. Malcolm X was a student minister. He still was under the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. But you could credit the NOI's exponential growth to Malcolm X. He became the face of the Nation of Islam. But from the interviews that I saw, when Malcolm did the interview at Cal Berkeley, various interviews that Malcolm X did, I always saw him pay homage to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Always. So with that being said, it was kind of shocking, and I knew this before The Godfather of Harlem, but it was shocking. I actually read, let me get this book, The Judas Factor by Carl Evans. I read this some years ago, and I was really shocked to find out that, Elijah Muhammad had advised Malcolm in the midst of JFK's assassination. He told him, do not get political, do not speak on JFK. Well, you can get political, but don't speak on JFK's assassination. And I think that's fair. JFK largely was considered a great man. A lot of people liked him. You can say he was a good president. He was definitely pro-civil rights. They all got dirt on their hands, but for the most part, JFK seemed like a solid dude who was down for social equity, if you will. So in the midst of that, Elijah understood, okay, people are mourning. Are we upset with white people? Have white people systemically held us down? Has white supremacy been a reality that we are constantly in confrontation and conflict with? Yes. But now is not the time to talk about JFK's assassination, not about restitution, retribution, reprisal on behalf of America for their sins. Now is not the time to talk about that concerning JFK. That was translated to Malcolm. Malcolm understood. Do not talk about this. I won't talk about this. But guess what? I guess he couldn't help himself. Maybe, emotions flared. He is but a man. He is but human like all of us. And he felt the need to speak on the chickens coming home to roost, infamously. Basically saying JFK's assassination was, a karmic debt to this nation. Again, chickens coming home to roost. He talked about how America was a global empire, an evil empire, imperialism, economic imperialism, economic colonialism, even political assassinations across the globe, where we set up different public governments. But that's a whole nother conversation. Don't want to get into that. R.I.P. Patrice Lumumba. But anyway, yeah, so I can understand why Malcolm was compelled to speak on that, but I really think he should have took heed to the counsel and the admonishment of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and just not spoke on it. So yeah, infamously, we know there was a rift within the Nation of Islam concerning Malcolm. A lot of people were torn. Some people they joined the nation because of Malcolm, and they had a reverence for Elijah Muhammad, but they were just torn. I personally do not believe that the Nation of Islam killed Malcolm X. Let me say that one more time. I do not think the Nation of Islam killed Malcolm X. Even if you read the autobiography of Malcolm X, as translated to Alex Haley, Malcolm even says it. I know what the nation is capable of. This goes beyond their scope of ability. And I feel like in so many words, he was saying the government was trying to kill him. We know about his Hajj when he went to Mecca. I honestly think when Malcolm came back from Mecca, he was more dangerous because I think he had maybe, some people say that the Nation of Islam is too race-based. And that their scope of Islam, I'm not a theologian. I study Islam, but I don't study it as a practitioner of Islam. I study it just because from a historical narrative, I like to know what people believe. I myself am a Christian. I am a practicing Christian. But I think people felt like the Nation of Islam, scope of Islam was very small. I'm not corroborating that. I'm not saying that it is. But some people feel as such. And they feel as though when he went to Mecca, when he did his Hajj, when he made Hajj, his scope and understanding of Islam became more vast. It became more matured. There wasn't so much about race anymore. It was about the Most High, and His children, and how pretty much. It's not so much about black and white or black and white and Arab. It's about we are all children of the Most High. We are Muslims. We display peace and love on this planet, irrespective of your race. And so I think the scope of the people who Malcolm was willing to interact with and deal with and work beside, it became more vast. And I think more people were willing to listen to what he had to say. We know about the documentary The Hate That Hate Produced. But I think Malcolm became more of a threat, again, because I think more people of different races were susceptible to hear him out, or even work in concert with him. So from that angle, I think Malcolm became more dangerous. I think he became even more political, and his political education widening, and even from like a sociological perspective, he kind of had a better understanding of the hearts of men and where people are coming from, irrespective of race. Like, it's not white, stamp, you're evil. Some people feel like that is what the Nation of Islam espoused. I guess it depends on who you are. But yeah, I think Malcolm, again, he matured, he was growing up. And I think his worldview just shifted. But the interesting thing is, he came back. Where am I going with that now? He came back, but some people felt like within the nation that his head got too big. But to make a long story short, when he came back, he split from the Nation of Islam. Some people say it was because of Elijah Muhammad's infidelity, him fathering children by teenage secretaries, him having babies out of wedlock. They felt as though it was a moral issue is why Malcolm X left the nation. And I remember Malcolm X's brother was excommunicated for infidelity from the nation. I just think Malcolm X was hurt. He was disappointed. He's thinking, I've turned my back on my family because of you. Mr. Elijah Muhammad, I have strictly held close to the doctrine that you imbued. And to see that you kind of doubled down on that yourself, it seemed hypocritical. I think he has that right. I think he had the right to feel that. I'm not mad at Malcolm for doing that. But what I do think And mind you, Malcolm knew about these accusations. He met the children, well, the women, well, they were children. He met the teenage secretaries. He knew what was going on. The only thing that kind of got me is I found out that Malcolm didn't actually say anything until the nation was going to take his house. You know, when the nation decided that, you know what, we're not going to financially back you like that. We're gonna take your house. That's when Malcolm kind of got in an uproar. So sometimes I wonder, like, was it, like, what was the real reason why he brought Elijah Muhammad's the accusations against Malcolm? What was the real reason that Malcolm brought the accusations against Elijah Muhammad to the light? Some people think it was actually self-preservation, greed, selfishness. I don't know. But I guess my thing is, if I was Malcolm, I would have kept that in-house. I would have not gone to the white media and said, well, you know, Elijah Muhammad did this, he did that. I wouldn't have done that. And the thing is, like, Elijah Muhammad, he had a lot of religious zealots that followed him. And they would have done anything he said. I do think that there were people within the Nation of Islam that did try to take Malcolm's life, but I don't think Elijah Muhammad sat back and said, you know what, I commission you guys to take this brother out. Because they could have did it. They tried, but I think there were people who were very impassioned by Elijah Muhammad, and they wanted to uphold his honor, and so they went after Malcolm. But I don't think the Nation of Islam in concert came together and just did it. And at one point, I even think Elijah Muhammad told them to leave him alone. You know, but I guess the thing that I want to get at is, I think when I have conversations with members of the Nation of Islam about Malcolm, he gets very impassioned. Unfortunately, the schism, there was a schism that came from this. It's unfortunate that this did cause a rift within the nation. So I think they had, they were worth over 90 million at one point, I believe, around the time of Elijah Muhammad's death. The Nation of Islam, they did a lot of good things. I know that there are some members of the Nation of Islam who had a criminal past and there were some criminal activities that took place. But as a whole, collectively, I think that, you know, from your Black Muslim bakery in Oakland, I felt like the Nation of Islam was always disciplined and economic based. They had a rank and file, they had a hierarchy, they showed discipline, and I think they practiced what they preach. I remember meeting a guy who grew up in Cabrini Green in Chicago, and he was telling me how the Nation of Islam actually stopped a lot of gang violence. They would patrol the housing, they would patrol Cabrini Green. And then when I tell you, Cabrini Green ain't no joke. That's where they shot Candyman. Like, Cabrini Green, when I think of low-income housing, the danger zone, I think Cabrini Green. They have since tore it down, and there are a couple of row houses. But I think some people, sometimes the Nation of Islam, their overall message, it gets lost in context of Malcolm X. Again, I don't think that the nation killed him. I think that the Nation of Islam has done a lot of good things and continue to do a lot of good things. I respect Malcolm's legacy, obviously. I just hate how it feels like Black people, we always bump heads with each other when we build, you know? But again, I wish Malcolm I understand why he spoke, but out of respect for Elijah and out of respect for the way Elijah built him up, I would always have a reference for that. I wouldn't have aired Elijah's dirty laundry. I would have kept it in-house. I know some people may not agree with that. That's fine. But yeah, ultimately, I just think it's tragic that it went down like this. I do believe that the tenets of the Nation of Islam, it definitely has reverberated through Black empowerment. Even if you look at what Muslims want, some of the Panthers 10-point program came from that. If you read it, it's almost like verbatim. So I think the Nation of Islam overall has had a positive influence. I would say the Nation of Islam was one of the, outside of the household that I grew up in, that was one of the highest forms of Black discipline that I saw, was the FOI, Fruit of Islam. MGT, Muslim Girls Training, like when they would step and when they would, you know, do their thing, it just seemed very organized and concise in the way how articulate the brothers were within the Nation of Islam, how intelligent they were, the critical thinking, the culture of critical thinking that I saw within the Nation of Islam. And even when you think about the Nation of God's and Earth, 5%ers, there would be no, Clarence 13X, I think he came from Mosque number 7 in New York. So there would be no Gods and Earth, there would be no Nation of Gods and Earth rather, but for the Nation of Islam. The theology, it varies, but you know that the base came from the Nation of Islam. But yeah, that's all I got. R.I.P. Malcolm X, R.I.P. Honorable Elijah Muhammad. I just think I'm always going to be in favor of black empowerment, but I just think we need to be a lot kinder to each other. I think we have more smoke for each other than we do for white supremacy. And I think I think Dr. Umar said this, until our hate for white supremacy transcends our hate for one another, we're gonna be stuck in the same condition. But anyway, each one teach one piece of love. It's the homie Mac, man. Signing off from the Dogon. I'm out.